from San Francisco World Spirits Competition. Today I am speaking with the Neely Distillery out of Kentucky. They submitted a bunch of products this year, and their absinthe won a double gold, which is the first time that an absinthe has won a double gold from based in the United States, which is a pretty big deal. So I have requested that they join me. They also, they're an old distillery out of Kentucky. Their family is.
Hello, it's Rebecca Neely. I'm grabbing Royce now.
Okay. Hello.
I'm actually making more absinthe. It's hot in there. How are you all doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about the history of your family's distillery.
So we've been distilling illegally in the mountains of Eastern Kentucky for going on 11 generations. And Dad and I we've got all that history in here on display. So I got all the old guns, the old stills, all of it on display. So we kind of have a museum up front, just kind of dedicated to our family's distilling history and Eastern Kentucky distilling history. And then Dad and I took her legal in 2015. So we've been
wow. How did you do that?
Well, we got licensed, built the distillery up here. We're beside the NASCAR track in Kentucky.
Wow.
We got that tie-in with whiskey and NASCAR, and but our main focus is making bourbon, and we've done really well with our bourbons. Actually, won a couple of golds from San Fran with them. It was just impressive for sub 2-year-old bourbon, but that I distilled. But beginning of this year, I decided I wanted to try and make absinthe, and here we are.
So tell me a little bit about why it's legal for so long.
So absinthe is a botanical based spirit, and it was illegal for a while because of there was some bad misconceptions around some things that different people had done while on absinthe. So it was invented, I think, in the late 1700s by a doctor in Switzerland. And then it was gained a lot of popularity through the 1800s. In the late 1880s, 1890s, there was actually a guy in Switzerland who murdered his entire family and claimed that he was drunk on absinthe when it happened. So there'd always been this kind of mystique around it. A lot of painters liked it. Van Gogh was famous for cutting his ear off while on it. So it quickly became the first victim to prohibition, not only in the United States, but across the world. So it was banned in France first, then Switzerland, and then really all the way through Europe and the United States. And made legal again in the United States in 2007 when they had done enough studies on it to figure out that thujone does not make you, or the amount of thujone in absinthe will not make you hallucinate.
Well, that seems like such a shame because you might want it.
Well, I will tell you, it's definitely a different kind of drunk. The thujone actually reacts on the GABA receptor in the brain. I think it's an antagonist, whereas a lot of times alcohol is a protagonist. So it's kind of interesting. It gives you a more mellowed out drunk when you're on it, which is kind of cool.
So we had a really interesting kind of issue come up when it came to your absinthe. So you guys got a double gold, which is, again, the first time that any American distillery has won a double gold for absinthe. The only other distillery that has won for absinthe was a French distillery. So we got a call from another distiller saying that they thought that your absinthe was actually theirs. So they requested a sample to be sent to a lab. And so they compared the two samples, and they were extremely different. But this was the first time we'd ever gotten the request to get samples to send to a lab to make sure that the blind product was not being switched out for another product. And how was that for you guys?
So it was wild. I was just ecstatic about. I was really proud of the fact that we had won the gold for the bourbon, but the double gold for the absinthe I honestly wasn't expecting it at all. I'd only been making it for about 4 months at the time, and I had done a bunch of different recipes, and just so happened we were submitting the bourbons in for San Fran. We had finished up what I thought was the best batch of absinthe we had made. So I went on and submitted it into San Francisco, thinking at least I'll get some honest feedback on it, so I know maybe increase botanicals or maybe cut back on some of it. And then I get the email that we had won the double gold, so I'm ecstatic. And then I actually get the phone call from San Fran, and they're like, "Well, there's been a little bit of an issue," which I've never gone through anything like that before. It was kind of it was a shock to me. I mean, I was never worried about it because I knew we made it. My whole team here was involved in it. We actually had done a lot of posts and things online, um, a lot of posts and different stuff online where we had actually shown like how we were making it, doing test batching and allowing customers to try it when they were coming on tour. So I was completely fine with it. And I always kind of had an ace in the hole as well. I'm definitely the only absinthe in the world that's made from an actual moonshine base. So it's got sweet corn and cane sugar in it. So I know if you run those through a mass spec, they're going to pop, and there's no other one in the world that's going to pop for those two compounds in it at the same time. So I was pretty comfortable in that.
Wow. Very cool. Well, obviously somebody else is a big fan of your brand because they. Do you drink absinthe just neat, or would you ever drink absinthe in a cocktail? And what kind of food would you pair with an absinthe?
Okay, yeah, you kind of broke up a little bit on me there, but I think I got the gist of it. So how do I enjoy my absinthe?
Yeah.
Well, I like doing it the traditional way with the absinthe fountain and the spoon. But one way I personally like to enjoy it is I'll take a rocks glass, I'll crush up a sugar cube, put it down in there, and then I'll put ice in it and then pour the absinthe on top of the ice. It takes a really nice louche, but I like the sweet flavor you get off of it, and I like it kind of cold that way. But another way I actually like it is called a death in the afternoon. So you take some absinthe. This is a cocktail invented by Ernest Hemingway. He was a diabetic, so he liked to drink champagne. So he would mix his absinthe 2 parts with champagne, 1 part absinthe. Makes it
Oh,
loose.
wow.
Got a really great taste to it. We call it like the adult or the hardcore mimosa for a Saturday morning.
Wow.
But
Very cool.
yeah, it's neat.
And then what kind of food would you pair with an absinthe cocktail or just absinthe neat?
Becca, what kind of food would we pair?
Pork.
When we were down at the Absinthe Festival and
Some fish pairs really well with it.
yeah, we had fish down in Key West with it, and it was really good. Pork went well with it as well. I think they've done that at the dinner.
And there's some really good desserts that just go along with it because there's the anise in it, which
My wife Rebecca, she runs our cocktail program.
the anise pairs very well with a lot of different desserts. But it's a great after dinner drink to just sip on as well.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was at with the absinthe. It's kind of like an after dinner, not really something to sip with it. But yeah, another famous cocktail as well is the Sazerac. A lot of people know that one's really popular. Invented down in New Orleans, but mixing it with rye whiskey. And that's
Wow. That would be amazing.
And that's actually a plan we've got in the future. We're going to start aging some of our absinthe in used barrels. And then once we're done aging the absinthe, we'll sell that. But then we'll have the barrel to be able to finish some of our bourbons or some of our rye whiskeys that we distill here on site in that absinthe barrel and create like a barrel-aged Sazerac. I think it's going to be really cool in the future.
Wow. That's really cool. And it's cool that you get to reuse these things over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it. And congratulations on your double gold for absinthe. And we would love it if you would send us one of those cocktail recipes. We can put it up on our website and our Instagram.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congrats. Bye-bye.